Hello, Happy New Year in advance. Despite the fact that it's early, January 15, I thought I would send you this brief video message because, as you probably know, that day marks the breaking of 95% of people who actually made resolutions for the new year. If you're one of the few who didn't break their resolutions by today, then congratulations. I'm here to support you and encourage you to keep going. But if you've missed any, perhaps I could send you a quick message here that can help you not only recover, but also go far beyond simply setting resolutions for the new year and bringing about some truly meaningful changes in your life. If you're the type of person who is currently viewing this, you should know that most people no longer even make resolutions because they've done so for years and years and years and know they won't follow through. After all, who wants to disappoint themselves or feel bad about themselves for a long time? Why even bother setting new goals for this year when you know it will be the same as last year? You know what makes us even want to make a resolution? Why do we have this tradition at the beginning of the year? It goes beyond tradition. There's something inside of us that makes us want to make things better. I believe that part of it is because the calendar gives us the impression that we can start over, make this great victory, and actually the calendar itself is pretty arbitrary. If you have actually opened its email and you haven't shut me off already, then obviously that's not you. It's great to use, but if you didn't use it to its full potential, let's use the calendar to help you today. Together, let's figure out what exactly needs to happen to make this happen because, deep down, you know that the only thing that will truly make you happy is yourself. For the decades to come, however, you'll need to regularly experience a sense of progress in your life. One thing I want to emphasize to you is that, despite appearances, obtaining things won't make you happy. That's good news in a tough economy because it serves as a helpful reminder that nothing matters, not even money or opportunities, that can truly make you happy in the short term. Even a wonderful relationship can only last so long if you don't continue to grow in it. The key to true happiness is to realize that progress equals happiness. And when we can consistently make progress, we feel alive. This is why every year we receive this thing like, okay, I'm able to start over. I could truly fulfill my soul's desires. I could develop, I could improve, I could change, or perhaps better than change, I could progress. But consider this, progress is a living thing, doesn't it? People constantly tell you that they're working on changes, so don't worry about it. You have to work on changing changes. Your body will naturally change as the years pass, whether you like it or not. No matter how hard you work, there will be changes there. Similarly, the economy will change regardless of what you want it to. There will be a change in the weather. Relationships will change everything in life. We must work at change. Change is automatic, but progress is not. Therefore, if you want to make real progress in life, you must view it differently. Rather than wishing for success, like many people do when they make resolutions at the beginning of the year, you should say, well, these are my resolutions for the year, and they are essentially stating their wishes. They call what they hope will come to pass, what their wish list is, a resolution, but they have no idea what that means. When you resolve something, you have to resolve it. Once you've resolved something, that's when you cut off any possibility. Accept the commitment you have made. It's similar to the proverb that says, if you want to take the island, burn the boats, because once you burn the boats, there's no turning back. People there will generally express their hopes that they will be able to work things out, and if it doesn't, they are disappointed, but not overly so because they don't have a lot riding on it. What is the process for successfully bringing about a long-lasting change in your life? Well, the first step towards creating a long-lasting change is very similar to creating a New Year's resolution, in that you need to have a vision for what it is that you truly want, not what you think you should have or what you think you should want. That is, one of the majority's New Year's resolutions. I'm going to quit smoking, I'm going to stop eating sugar, and I'm going to lose 10 pounds. The problem with that is that most people find it uninspiring because it only tells them what they're not going to do, not what they're going to get. It's difficult to move forward with that kind of thinking. Instead, you should create a vision that truly works and excites you. If your resolution is to lose X pounds, this week, this month, or this year. That's okay, but it's not very compelling. It needs to have a compelling vision and something that can pull you in rather than something you have to push yourself to do. These are two different kinds of motivation. Pulling is something that will last, and push requires willpower, which is short lived. Some of you are looking to create something so compelling that you can't sleep at night or wake up early to take it to the next level, which is what you're looking to achieve, but is difficult to obtain, which is why we hold seminars and events. You see, the reason it might not be as simple as reading a book or something is that when you're in a situation where people are at their best, like when you go to a sporting event, the excitement may be the same at home, but it takes on a completely different intensity when you're in a stadium full of 50,000 people. When we feel that way, and since our follow through ultimately stems from our emotional intensity in a different state of mind, you're going to come up with a much better plan of action and more compelling vision than if you're sitting on the couch thinking, what are my new resolutions for this year? You're doing it the morning after the universe started, so you're probably a little drowsy, and the football games are playing in the background. This means that you probably won't have the focus or energy to create something that will pull you in for this year. So you need to have a compelling vision that you know will be a gift to ensure that it succeeds. Furthermore, in addition to having a compelling vision, you also need strong enough motivation to stick with it when things get tough. This is one of the biggest things lacking in most people's lives. They say, this is what I want to do, but it's not very exciting or compelling. But more importantly, they lack the motivation to push through the necessary steps to achieve their goals when the inevitable challenges arise and they find themselves starving and pressed for time, stressed out, and lacking in exercise. And that's what you should do when things get tight financially and your original plan of action doesn't work, leading you to give up on the goal instead of finding a different way to get there. You shouldn't let fear stop you if you have strong enough reasons, which can be both positive and negative. For example, your reasons could be, if I don't do this, it will cost me, or if I do this, I will gain in my life. Prioritize your reasons over answers if you have a compelling vision and strong enough reasons to keep going. I know you've done this in many areas of your life, so think about it again. I'm not teaching you anything really new today. I'm just trying to remind you of what your soul knows you need to change, you need to improve, and you need to go through a simple process fundamentally to make that progress. First step, create a compelling vision. Second step, make sure, when things get tough, you're going to do things other people don't do instead of collapsing, that there are compelling enough reasons to proceed with the third step. You must review and experience it daily. I mean, have you ever experienced anything similar in your life? Is there anything that you've ever craved so intensely that you were unable to stop thinking about it? It could have been anything, a career change, a car when you were younger, a relationship, but you were fixated on making it happen and tracking it to your life because you wanted to. Though it was so compelling that you couldn't stop thinking about it, seeing it, and feeling it, you didn't even know how to get what you wanted. You eventually started to draw people and circumstances into your life as things started to happen. All of this happened even in the absence of a clear plan. Rather, it was the result of your constant, intense, and emotional attention to that goal, which increased your awareness of anything that might point you in that direction. The reticular activating system, RAS, is the term for this. That area of your brain controls what you notice in the outside world. It's significant because when you set goals and your vision becomes sufficiently clear and compelling, and you review it well enough, it becomes ingrained in you. That area of your brain says, anything that relates to this I need to notice, such as when you purchase a car or an outfit, and all of a sudden you see those things everywhere. You know the cars have always existed, so why do you see them now? Your brain recognizes that they are important, that they are a part of your world. The brain becomes incredibly acute at noticing anything to get you to move forward when you really get clear. It's compelling. You review it every day. You have strong reasons. You view it every day and you feel it. That's the power of this. You know what happens with New Year's resolutions? People come up with something they kind of want. It's not a compelling vision. They don't really have strong enough reasons, and they never review it again and tell them notice that they broke it. What they stated they really wanted to see happen is because they didn't really resolve. If you resolve, you have a compelling vision that you review every day, feel, see, and experience. As simple as it may sound, what's the point of this? In the end, if you want to see lasting change in anything, you're really talking about simply raising your standards. As boring as it may sound, I always tell people that if they want to know how to change their life, they should raise their standards. As silly as it may sound, what does that mean? Boost your expectations. They didn't really resolve, which is why they said they really wanted to see happen. If you succeed, you will have a compelling vision that you see, feel, see, and experience on a daily basis. Even though it seems so simple, why is this even happening? Ultimately, all it takes to bring about long-lasting change is to simply raise your standards. As corny as it sounds, I always advise people to raise their standards if they want to learn how to improve their lives. What does that even mean? As ridiculous as it sounds, elevate your standards. It's time for me to shed some pounds. Individuals love to have their goals fulfilled, but it's similar to making New Year's resolutions. If they succeed, it's thrilling, but if they fail, which happens most of the time, it's a little disappointing, but you kind of know it's not going to happen. However, when you decide something is a must for you, an absolute must, when you cut off any possible, I'm going to make it the way that human beings resolve things and have made a real resolution inside themselves, which is they raise the standard, they make it a must. Consider a situation in your own life where you raised your standard, and your life has never been the same. Perhaps you used to smoke cigarettes or did something for years, and you kept trying to change it and telling yourself you should, and then one day something happened. Is there any area of your life that you can think of again? Have you ever smoked cigarettes, eaten a certain way, drank a certain type of alcohol, and then finally saying no more and you just don't go back and notice this? It doesn't really take any willpower anymore. Something just clicked you over, something took you over that kind of tipping point, and inside yourself you said no more. It was a very, very different experience, wasn't it? One thing I've learned about people is that they absolutely follow through on who they believe they are. For example, if you say to me, I'm really going to work hard to stop smoking, but you know I've been a smoker my whole life and I know I'm a smoker. I know your days are numbered, you're going to be back smoking cigarettes again. You can be sure that people will act consistent with their beliefs. In fact, I believe that the strongest force in the human personality is this need to stay consistent with how we define ourselves. If you consider yourself to be extremely conservative, you won't go crazy and behave strangely unless you're intoxicated or something, in which case you can blame the alcohol for your behavior. In reality, though, the alcohol is your justification for not being able to find acceptance for who you are. Those who are truly insane tend to act outrageously playful and crazy. They don't act conservative because that's not who they are. I often ask people, when did you define yourself? Meaning, really, how many years ago did you come up with what you couldn't do in your life? Because I know that's what they say a lot. A lot of the time, the way most people live their lives now is based on standards and beliefs that they made about 10, 20, 30 or more years ago. We often make decisions about what to believe about our potential as individuals when we are young, and that becomes the glass ceiling that governs us. It's a corny metaphor, but it's true. I remember going to the circus with my family once, and there was someone there with this enormous giant elephant. The elephant is conditioned, and that's how they train them. When the elephant is a little baby and lacks strength, they put a big rope around it and drive this enormous stake into the ground. The elephant fights and fights until eventually that often decides I'm not capable. Look at this elephant. They take this little rope and put it around that opens neck and they drive this stake into the ground. That's just the way things are in my life. I'd like to ask you to look at any situation where you have a limitation and ask yourself, when did I decide to accept that limitation? You might not even see it as a limitation. You might see it's just that's who I am. But so often in life, we've adapted to be a certain way so that we don't fail or so that people will like or respect us. But that's not necessarily who we are. Joy comes when you're spontaneous. It's really hard to be truly happy. If you've ever attended an event, you know that a large portion of my work involves getting people to act impulsively or spontaneously, because that's when the real you shows up and that's when the energy comes alive. When you do that and you begin to connect your true nature, energy becomes available for you to set higher standards for what you want in your life, which is ultimately what this is all about. When I discuss the idea of shoulds versus musts, I know there have been instances in your life where you've raised the bar and changed the standard, because in general, people associate their identity with the lives they lead. It's just the way things work. To give an example, when you look at your physical appearance, it only reflects one thing: your standards and the identity you have for yourself, not your aspirations or goals. If being an athlete is your standard, then your body naturally possesses a certain level of strength, muscle tone, and energy because that is who you are, and you will do whatever it takes to preserve that identity. Human personalities are the strongest forces, and they must remain constant. With how we define ourselves, because once you settle on an identity, your brain will work to maintain it. For example, if you tell yourself, you know, man, I'm overweight, I've always been overweight, I'm big boned, that's the story I have, your brain will always find a way to return to that identity. That's where things lock in, that's where you settle and find your identity. When you ask someone who is in really good shape if they work out, they will tell you that they do so 3, 4, or 5 times a week, depending on what seminar they are at. I'll stand up and look around the room, and you'll see that they work out 5 times a week because you can see their bodies. You don't just get a result without taking some sort of action, meaning actions you take consistently. If you think you know those people who are out there working out 5 days a week, then you should know that they do so. Do they have more time than you or I have for anyone else? Of course not. Are they less busy? Of course not. They just have to work out that way, and since they've made that change in their lives, it's changed. So I'm not saying you have to work out 5 days a week. Rather, I'm saying do whatever you really want once your standards aren't consistently met. This is who you are, so it's not so much about changing who you are as it is. The idea of deciding to lose 10 pounds in place of your goal is not very appealing. What if your vision was to return to your fighting weight? This year, this month, these next 90 days, I'm going to transform my body, take on a new challenge, and figure out some technique or strategy. There are a million ways to do it. Or I want to feel younger, stronger, and more vibrant than ever before. These are my motivations. I want the energy to really make my life work, because life can be difficult these days, and I want to be stronger than I've ever been. I want to go in front of the mirror, and if I'm naked, not only to make myself laugh, but also to look at myself and say, yeah, I'm proud of whatever I see there. Whatever it takes, something will make you smile and laugh, but something will also push you to a new level. If you identify with yourself in a new way and you live your life with that as the standard, you'll find a way to make it so. Real money works in the same way. No matter what happens in the marketplace, people who are successful find a way to make money no matter what. After all, most people's standard is to pay their bills, so most people find a way to do that, even in hard economic times. Some people's standard is to pay their bills most of the time, so most of the time they do. Others have standards that go beyond just paying their bills, such as taking care of their family and possibly even some friends. In actuality, you may have some individuals may come from low-income families that struggle to make ends meet. They may work extremely hard to pay their bills, but when someone in the family, their mother, father, sister, or another, becomes ill, there may not be enough money to care for them. However, these individuals manage to find a way to get the money needed to take care of their parents, even though none of them has much money. Why did they raise their own standards when others in the family may be better off? It all boils down to the inner game, my friends. You can't control the outside world, but you have complete control over this one, if you understand the dynamics of what shapes your identity. If you start to change this, everything else in your life will change as well. Some people wonder how to have more than enough money to do as they please, whenever they please, with whomever they please, and contribute however they please. I realize that sounds extremely basic, but find a way. However, it's true that someone once said you could take all of the wealth and success from all of the world's wealthy and successful people and give it to someone else. It wouldn't take long for those people to get it back, not because they are manipulators. Some people are manipulative, but they have expectations of what they can accomplish. All I'm saying is, take those three magic words and live them up to your expectations. If you truly want to do it, I'll give you the most crucial secret. Have you ever told yourself that you're going to raise your status, that you're going to make this happen, that you're going to make this much money, that you're going to transform your kids, that you're going to create the ultimate relationship of my life, that you're going to transfer my body, or anything similar? If not, you won't have strong enough motivation, and you won't lose use of it or fail to follow through because you didn't support your standards with the real thing, which is rituals.